IFTTT, If This Then That, Viewing the Web Application by Matt Cole. The purpose of the presentation is to provide the actual viewing of the web application online and what it looks like. So what we will be doing is we'll be covering the actual IFTTT website on what it looks like and how to get in. So the IFTTT is found on IFTTT.com, and this is what you'll be presented to. There are 3 ways in which you could technically sign in or sign up through IFTTT, which is a free web-based application. That would be your Google, your Facebook, or an existing email that you wish to use. I already have a couple of things set up for it. So for this presentation, I will use an existing one. And yes, when you do sign up through an email, you will more likely get an email coming back to you from IFTTT to verify that email address. Once you sign in, it is provided to you to a default discover, which is just basically little ads on top on what is possibly available currently with the IFTTT. It may say there's 15 applets for iOS. Next time you sign in, it may say 18 applets available for Android. As you can see on the bottom here, it's just basically a slider. Okay. So what we're looking at here is the Discover, as I mentioned before, the search function, which allows you to search specific services or applets, because there are pre-existing applets that you can actually copy to use. The applets themselves, which are the recipes, and the activity is a log of what has occurred with each of those applets accordingly. On the right hand side with your username, if you do a drop down, you could go immediately to a new applet to create the services as mentioned and the settings. Settings of course will be your sign in and security and all that. So for the first part of it, let's look at services. For the services, there are hundreds of these services. The services are basically your online internet applications that can be connected with IFTTT, or it can also be actual utilities, which I'll show in a minute, or it can also be mobile device applications. There are hundreds of these. It provides you the initial, immediate, what's used the most, but does not provide all. If you hit all services, then it will show you all the current available services by category, which is alphabetical by category. So an example is your appliances, and yes, you can utilize IFTTT if you have a connection to one of these appliances. Each of these services you will be required to have access to because you're basically using the same login credentials as you are on that service itself. So baby blinds, the blogging, you can utilize the Blogger or WordPress or Weebly. Bookmarking, business tools. I'm just going to scroll through here. You could pause the video if you wish, but this is just to give you an idea of how many actual current services is available utilizing IFTTT. I will not be going through each and every one of these, but I will be going through a few of them as the videos are created to provide you an idea of how to create them and the possibilities. So again, there's hundreds of these services. These are actually being increased over time, and I can only see them actually growing. Okay, so if we go back, let's look at our applets. The applets are going to be your recipes, and you go into the new applet right here. As before I had said, this is a one-to-one process, meaning I have a trigger. Is it a specific date and time? Is it a Twitter? Is it, as before in the prior video, a liked YouTube? Whatever that trigger is going to create, then my applet will run and it will create that process or that end result. So as this particular example, if I choose the date and time as my trigger, it will default into what's available, and each one of these services have differing triggers versus results. So I can choose every day at a specific time, what's going to happen at 12 a.m. every day. It provides me all the available services that I can have an action to occur that date and time that I put on here. For this particular example, we'll choose a tweet, if I can talk. So I can either do a post a tweet with an image, a direct message to ourselves, update the profile, or update the bio. I'm going to go ahead and choose post a tweet as an example. Now what we are looking at here is at 12 a.m. when that time has come, the trigger is going to create a tweet, and I have the option here of specifying exactly what that tweet will be. Now, ingredient is basically what we refer to as variables within this tweet. So check time would be the current time that this ran. So if I had set this up for 12 a.m. to run, then this would show as 12 a.m. IFTTT, in its wisdom, easily create additional ingredients, and if I had any additional opportunities, it would show down here to add to this. I can either utilize this add ingredient to create more, or I can actually put in HTML code. I could put in additional text. It does provide me a lot of availability here. Once I put in exactly what I want in here, I will create it, and it will give me one final step to review. So it's giving me a little bit of a description. If every day at 12 a.m. post this tweet, and this notifications when the applet runs goes back to that log I was telling you about. So I'm happy with this. I will go ahead and hit finish. Once I hit finish, it will indicate that I've created a new applet. So this is now in play. It will give me the exact date and time and the year, well, the year when it was created. This will give me an idea of when it has ran. I can do a check now, and this will basically attempt to run. If it is triggered, it will provide how many times it has ran. Okay. I can also turn this off. So if there is an applet that I use only a certain amount of times, or if I wish it to be turned off, I no longer want it, rather than deleting it and losing it, I can turn it on or turn it off just by that. So if we go into my applets, we can see in here, as I said before, there's many of these that I've created and tested with. Okay, let's look at the prior video example that I provided. You can open up an applet and you can actually change it anytime you wish to. Now on this particular applet, I had copied it from an existing one. Okay, it has ran 94 times since its creation of March 2016. Now this particular applet, let's look at the settings. And again, this is what the internals is, right? So what this is going to do is when I like a post, it's going to create, when I like a YouTube video, it's going to create a post into WordPress. It's going to provide the title of that YouTube video in the title of the WordPress post. Within the body of the WordPress, it's going to provide an embedded code, and it's going to provide a link, and I have placed in here the URL, basically the source of what this YouTube that I liked. As I mentioned before, if I do an add ingredient, it gives me the option of placing a description or a like that. I can create categories within my website. If this category is not currently in existence in my WordPress website, IFTTT on the first run will create that category in that website for me. You can add additional tags, and you can also have the option on this particular one to publish it, save it as a draft, or as a private. So with this particular applet, I could go in and I can like specific videos on YouTube on every one of them set as private to go back and view later if I just so desire. Once I made my changes, I would hit save, and we'll go back to the original one that we've seen before, and we're done. So this is just yet another example of what an applet looks like. So this video, as I said before, is just an overview of IFTTT.com, what it looks like once we're inside. And on future videos, I will provide specific examples of how you can modify with the ingredients with HTML and additional ones that I found personally useful for the recipes.